Welcome to Holding Space. Michael Zen is a visual producer and creative photographer using his imaginative visionary energy to channel Zen and hold space for spiritual and innovative discussion. Each episode creates a supportive, accepting, and open environment that allows exploration and expertise to come together with engaging and entertaining convergence. With guest and community all helping the shape of the way, Michael is grateful to be together to hold space. Now here is your host of Holding Space, Michael Zen.
Yes, here I am. I am back holding space again this week. It is a Tuesday. It is time for me to hold space with you, for you, as you. All of those great things. I am back because last week I was actually sick. It was the first time in a long time that I've missed. I think it was actually the first time I probably missed holding space. I've been doing this one about a year, and I'm usually here, religiously, so to speak. I missed last week. I missed the live stream of consciousness as well. I just was not feeling good. I just ran myself down. Working so hard, but I am back. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to hold space. I'm excited for this amazing community of people here on the Sacred Spiral Network. I just want to say hello to the Sacred Spiralers out there and give a shout out to Kelly Brickle and Jennifer Rose and the people at the Sacred Spiral Network who make it what it is. It's such an amazing place, and people like you, Evelyn, who's out there, people like Brendan. My banner is up top and my picture is tiny. I'm going to go out and sign again. Yeah, they've done this odd thing with StreamYard where they changed it to like a portrait preview of the portrait. Oh yeah, so that's on. If you're watching on the phone, it's probably odd. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's just like my head really big in the center there. Oh no, this is weird. My picture's time. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, if you're experiencing a weird visual, it's because StreamYard has introduced this new vertical and horizontal format. It's supposed to automatically switch to whatever platform you're on. But I don't think they've kind of figured it out yet. So I apologize if you're not seeing the whole picture. If you are, welcome. If you know the routine, if you've been playing along, hashtag live just in the comments would help tickle the algorithm, tell the algorithm, the ether that something's there that should be noted, and it helps. So if you could do that, that would be great. And if not, that would be great too. I'm just glad that you're here. But anyway, let's just clear the space a little bit. Let's get on the same page, so to speak. What's up, Charlene? Good to see you. And use the sage, my sage, not the type that you burn, but sage, my bowl, to take a couple of deep breaths in and out together. Again, if you haven't done this before, I'm sure you have. Breathing is fundamental. You do it in through your nose. This is the way I like to do it. Just for like 3 seconds, and you hold it a little bit at the top, and then you intentionally push out the air and all of the stuff that you don't need. Anything that happened before this moment today that didn't feel right, that irked you a little bit, get rid of it. You don't need it. So let's do that together, and then we can hold some sacred space together. Here we go. Breathing in, holding it, and then breathing it out. Breathe it in, number 2. Hold it. Release it and feel it when you release it. You can feel the wind coming out. One more time, feel it coming in through your nose. It's cool. You can feel it coming into your lungs. Push all that stuff out. Yeah. Breathing is fundamental. I love doing that every time. It reminds me what keeps me alive. So welcome. live and very much alive. I am glad I'm feeling better too. You could hear it in my throat. I can hear it anyway, just a little bit. But anyway, I'm excited tonight because I have a guest who's all the way across the pond. I love it when this across the pond is more than that. Across the pond is like, well, I don't know. I love it when the show becomes international, and it's not just local, and it's across the world. And my guest is across the world, and also an amazing spiritualist medium. Spiritualism is something that I've recently kind of discovered. I never really even knew. I knew I wasn't into kind of the traditional organized religions, but spiritualism is kind of a combination of the things that I believe. So I really relate to the people who kind of live that spiritualist lifetime. And it is actually considered a religion, which I didn't even know. But it's very cool because mediumship and the metaphysical kind of gifts and things that you see are very widely accepted in spiritualism. So welcome to Holding Space, Veronica Jenkins. Nice to have you here.
Hiya. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, this is a place for me to hold space for people to meet and have some amazing conversations about all of this stuff. And you are somebody who Kelly introduced me to, and I don't really know much about you, so I'm excited to talk to you and learn all about who you are. Ninja Kitty says, "Welcome, Veronica."
Hi,
Yeah.
Ninja.
I'm excited to learn about you. And I want to start in a place. I did a little research to see who you were. You have a great website. I'm going to take down my photosynthesis banner and I'm going to put up your banner here. Findmeamedium.com. A nice resource where you can find a medium that you resonate with. I love that because I feel like the authentic mediumship exists within a community of people who support each other, not like, oh, here's my website, come see me. It's more like, hey, if you feel drawn to this, then here's a whole bunch of people who are drawn to it too. And you'll find the right person, just because that's kind of what we believe, right? Everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. So I started to read a little bit about you, and it made me think about my whole involvement with the metaphysical concepts of life and aspect of life and spiritualism and all of these things. And it was that you started to get into the tarot and do readings for friends at school and college.
That's right.
And I could remember when I was in college, I can remember having some friends who, what I consider dabbled, right? They played with the cards, and I can remember, I was a different person, and I definitely didn't have the same perspective on the cards as I do now, and that kind of art. It was more of a fun thing. It was more like for entertainment. And now, as I got older and I learned a little bit more about, other sides of life that are not necessarily in the 3D realm, I started to understand a little more those things. So, it just made me think about what must have been going through your head at that time, kind of being connected to that at such a young age. How did that feel? What was it about it that intrigued you, that got you into it?
It was a natural progression for me because I've been interested in other things, as such, however you want to phrase it, ever since I was little. Ever since I can remember, I've been thinking those deeper thoughts and been intrigued about the esoteric. As a young teenager, I had loads of books on the esoteric and all the magazines that were coming out at the time and things like that in the 70s. And yeah, I just loved a lot of it. So it was quite a natural progression for me to do tarot cards It was
Right.
soon after that I'd actually started going to the Spiritualist church. I'd actually been asking my mum since I was about 15, 16, whether she'd take me to a Spiritualist church. She always said she would, never did. So when I went to uni and found that there was a Spiritualist church down the road, I went, and that's where it all started in terms of my mediumship. But before that, I'd been interested in tarot and everything different before that. So
Interesting. And
can I just say a few hellos to people I recognise?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I didn't. You know what? I didn't even notice the comments were going crazy. Kelly Brickle, go ahead. You say hello. I'm going to pop them up on the
because
screen.
Lynn's on, and Lynn does readings on online live psychic readings, and that actually answers Evelyn's question from earlier, who said, "Am I the Veronica for Find Me a Medium?" Yeah, Find Me a Medium's my baby.
Yes,
I run that and organise that and all the rest of it. And hi, Kay Weezy. Kay Weezy comes on a lot with us. And I don't think I'm doing readings tonight. I think it's just chat. Okay.
Maybe if we might get to it. You know, I that was something I forgot to ask you before when we were in the green room. I forgot to ask you if you were feeling how you were feeling, because I know, you know, energy work is very, very specific, you know, and I have a deep respect for people who do it. You can't just do it on demand, right? Like, hey, give me some readings.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I do mediumship on demand, so that's fine.
Yeah. Awesome. So again, what kind of intrigued me about the whole idea was really kind of, I guess, my relationship with the ideas of what metaphysical gifts are and what the other side is, and what energy work is, compared to when I was in college and how I looked at it. So did you have any experiences when you were younger that were kind of the energetic nature?
Yeah, I can always remember having sensations of something behind me but not understanding, and that is quite a normal thing for people who are developing their mediumship and awakening to spirit, that you get the sensation that somebody's behind you, and because you're not recognizing it, actually it's interesting because it actually triggers the fight or flight reflex. Now, I didn't know that at that time, and therefore I was quite frightened because it's an energy that my body didn't recognize. So straight away, all the fight flight reflex of fear comes in, and it then made me feel, well, I'm only going to do mediumship in a church environment where I know it's safe. And obviously now when I realise, well, actually there's no such thing as evil spirits, I've got no truck with that at all. All it is spirits that your body isn't recognising, an energy that you're not recognising, and therefore your body's triggered into the fear response. That it doesn't, I'm open to spirit wherever now. But for a long time, I would only work in school, in churches.
Okay, so did I hear you right? You said you don't believe that there are evil spirits.
Absolutely don't believe them. When you're in spirit, you are light, you're pure spirit. How can that be evil? In the 30 plus years of working with spirit, I have never ever met anything evil in spirit. I've met some pretty awful people. Really dreadful people that do awful things.
It's interesting that you say that, and let me ask you a question. This is great. I love this conversation. Would you say that because this is my definition, and I guess I'm asking you if you agree, that outside of the 3D physical realm, right? We're talking about a non-physical realm.
Absolutely.
Good and evil don't exist.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
good and evil is a human judgment, a human created thing, and because humans actually have an enormous amount of psychic energy, they can project negative energies, they can project energies that move things. So when you've got poltergeist, that kind of thing in movement happening in a home, it's invariably a teenager in that home with just so much angst and psychic energy that it's actually bouncing off the walls and making things move. But it's not an evil spirit at all. You know, Granny might be there. The spirit of Granny might be there trying to calm everything down.
Right.
But,
No,
you know.
I love that idea. And that's why I was asking that question, because I feel like that's not really, you know, there's a lot of ideas and perspectives about what it is. What is everything, right? You know, everybody's got all these perspectives. And I think it's interesting to me, because I believe what we just said, that in the non-physical realm there is no good and evil. It's all one thing. But as you get into the physical realm, now you have this contrast, you have this spectrum that you need to kind of compare things and kind of pick where they exist on that frequency, right, to kind of identify them. So good and evil, like you said, are human concepts. And I just don't think we talk about that enough, because
well, you think about it, there's some people that have an action, and some people will see that action as good. Other people will see that action as evil, depending upon their standpoint and their belief system, etc., etc.
Right.
And at the minute, it is not fixed. It's dependent upon the viewpoint of the observer. Then it is subjective. It's not real as such. Only things that, well, no, I'm saying that, and it's not right, because everything is interrelated. You know, you go back into that Buddhist and all of the really deep philosophies are about the interconnected nature of everything. You know, the sound of one hand clapping is a demonstration that nothing exists in a vacuum.
Interesting that you put it that way too, that you kind of need the observer to even make that kind of a judgment, because without the observer there is no judgment.
Absolutely.
Right? Without the observer, unconditional love is everything. I guess that's kind of that concept. Very, very interesting. Wow, you're making me think. We haven't even started talking, and you're making me think about everything and how it exists and the nature of it all. That's great. I love that.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was doing as a youngster, you see. So I've had
So you've been doing it. You've been doing
55 years of thinking.
So how did that affect your life? You were doing this younger, as a teenager. You've been doing this your whole life now, and has it always been your profession, or did it take a while?
No, I was a head teacher for 20 years. Everybody just thought I was weird, and still do. But hey, I was really weird.
Well, I don't think you're weird. Not on the Sacred Spiral Network. You're not weird. And then,
no, I own it. Don't worry.
Well, see, here's the really cool thing, right? Excuse me, that I've been really prophesizing. I don't know what the right word is. I've been living it. I've been feeling it. I've been trying to explain to people that you really do create your own reality, right? Like
Absolutely.
You certainly have to exist under circumstances of the collective and the 3D, but within that 3D, you create your own reality. And you have, with findamedium.com, you've created your own community that you exist in, that you're not weird. You can own it. You can completely own it. You can actually be a leader of it, which is great. And that's what you've become. You've created your own thing. So tell us, what gave you the idea for findamedium.com? How long has it been around? Tell us a little bit about what it is.
Where it actually started was prior to lockdown, about 10 years ago. And I was compiling I'd had some issues at work, so I'd got some time that I needed. I hate just sitting doing nothing. And I'd spent years sort of on Facebook building up links with people and all the rest of it. And as part of that, I'd realised there wasn't really a directory of spiritualist venues. The SNU had a list of SNU churches, but actually as a medium going out to the different churches, there's a lot more than just the SNU ones. So I'd started pulling all of that together. and I needed a name for it. So at the time it was always find me a plumber or find me a something. So I thought, well, I'll just call it find me a medium, it does what it says on the tin kind of thing.
Sure.
So it started off as literally a way of finding spiritualist venues and stuff. That moved into a directory of mediums, which is now online, and my find me a medium directory. You'll find all the churches and all the mediums on there. There were originally books, and I got a website that I uploaded everything into. Well, me and a friend uploaded everything into, because there's a lot on there.
A vast resource.
So that's where that started. But then lockdown happened, and realised that people would need churches, would need the solace of going through a pandemic, of being able to access mediums and organisations that could help. And I'd start, because I've got all these links, I'd start seeing the odd church pop up saying, we're going to have a Zoom, whatever Zoom was. How did we live without Zoom?
Right.
And realised very early doors that nobody was pulling all of that information together. And how would people find it? So I thought, right, I'll do a daily list of what's going on. And that's how my daily list started, and that's how the real community of what I do online really started at the beginning of lockdown, where I was doing my daily lists. There was about 5-6 events in a day. The list I do now, which is under subscribers now because it takes me so long, there's 50-60 events every day.
Wow. Amazing. And you know what? I'm sitting here smiling because I'm thinking about, like, how cool is it that was one of the side effects of COVID, is that we, like, all of these spiritual communities, Zoom, like, how did we live before that? Have you could be in a group of people on Zoom, from 10 to 50 to 100 people around the world, all kind of talking about the same things, all with the same kind of perspective on life, that, like you said, people think you're weird at like a university, right? You're a teacher and people think you're weird. And what's so cool about that also on the other side is, I think that it's becoming more and more accepted, even in, public places like schools and stuff. There are more people who are involved.
Absolutely. The number of people now that accept spiritualism, accept it as a recognised religion in the UK, which it is in the UK. There's one guy down in Cardiff who's been working with the National Religious Organisation that's in schools, helping them do their curriculums and putting in suggestions about how spiritualism and our beliefs can be put into the curriculum. How amazing is that? Brilliant.
It is. It's amazing. I love what's going on, and I'm thinking also, because today I saw an interesting interview. Now, I don't know what you think about this. I'm finding the response interesting here on, like, Holding Space when I talk about it, right? So I don't know what you know or think about 3i Atlas. Do you know what 3i Atlas is?
No.
No.
I don't know
Okay.
what it is.
See, and that's I'm finding it amazing that a lot of my spiritual friends really, they don't even know what it is, because a lot of the news and the media, maybe it's outside of the spiritual community. 3i Atlas is a interstellar object that's passing through.
That one, yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do know what it is. It's recently coming in. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like New Marnie. Was it New Marnie?
There was another one called Oumuamua.
That was it. Yeah,
a couple years ago. Yep. So, but basically, what's interesting to me is that there's a lot of talk about it being a very spiritual moment, that extraterrestrials are involved, the galactic community is making itself known, and all of these different, theories about what's going on with this comet or this asteroid or this galactic vessel, right? Whatever it might be. But what's undeniable right now, I think, is that we're in a very specific time in humanity, right? There is some sort of shift going on.
Yeah.
And the way that I heard it presented was that it's a moment that we are given a choice. We're going to have to choose to subscribe to the fear or subscribe to the love, right? And I think that that's a really good way to put it, right? Like, again, like you could tell me all of these different theories and I'll listen, but I think that it boils down to that. And I think that's why you and me are here right now having this conversation, I think, because we've made our choice and we just want to kind of illuminate that choice to a lot of the people who might be drawn towards the fear, right? Because it's so prominent outside of the sacred spiral.
Well, my question about interstellar aliens and that kind of thing is the technology we've got on Earth, in the science we've got at this current time, which obviously would be way behind any alien coming in. We can still communicate with Voyager 1 and 2 that are on the edge of the hero sphere or whatever they call it, right on the edge. We can communicate with that. And so if that was an alien vessel, why isn't it already communicating with us?
I'm gonna venture to say that there are people that believe it is communicating with us. You know what I mean? And again, that's what I love about the infinite world of opinions, and theories in this world. I haven't seen any hard evidence of that. The evidence I haven't really even decided to delve that deep into it and be like, oh, I really need to know the answer, because I feel like, we said it earlier, everything happens the way it's supposed to. So if this is the moment that the Galactic Council reveals itself, awesome. I'm here and I'm glad that I'm here for it. You know what I mean? It's like, Jules is out there, by the way. I want to just say Jules, science nerd. So in 2017 was Oumuamua. In 2019, there was this 2I, right? So the I means interstellar. The number is the object, right? So 1I was the first interstellar object that we detected.
Right, okay.
2I was Borisov and 3I was Atlas. But again, I think these are just kind of little pieces of evidence that there's more to it, right? It doesn't matter if it's an alien or not. It's just more. More than we know. It's more than we know.
So sorry, my dog's just woken up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean
and
to
it might be that I have to just let him do a call of nature.
Okay, that's fine. If you need to get
otherwise
up,
he'll bark and wake neighbors up.
Yeah, if you need to let him get up and let him out, that's all good.
Yeah, I'll take myself off screen and I'll be 2 minutes.
No worries. This is great. I'm loving this conversation. I don't know what you guys think. And as you could see, I hear a lot of different stuff. I just believe that this is a moment. This is a moment that we get to choose what we believe, what we want to be accountable for, what we want to see, as reality. We create our own reality. I believe that as well. And it's just by how we do what we do and the choices that we make every day and how we treat each other. I think that's it. That's all we have control over. It's the essence of everything. And I think, for me, it's allowed me to just feel better about who I am. It's allowed me to make a lot more authentic connections with people about, life and what I believe. I don't subscribe to these divisive conversations about the left and the right as far as what's going on in United States politics, even the world. I think these things are horrible. Certainly, war is a horrible thing. But I believe that it's not going to affect me. I make sure it doesn't affect me and how I exist, right? I'm not going to walk around angry that there's war. I'm not going to walk around afraid that there's war. I'm going to walk around feeling like we're all in this together. I'm on a planet with a lot of other human beings and as many people that I can see and love and support. I'm going to, the people that I can't see and I can't support, I'm not going to, I don't want to sound mean. I'm not going to lose sleep over, but I'm not, it's where you put your energy. I believe choose love always. Exactly. Yes. So true. Perfect. Jules is asking Veronica something. We'll come back to that. Do I have a wish one way or the other what 3i Atlas is? You know what? I don't, except I will say this, because part of the conversation I heard was that 3i Atlas is still kind of coming back. And I just will say this, Veronica's back. As a kid, I always felt that the human race was just divided. Countries, races, there was a lot of division in the human race. And I saw that as a kid. I always said, what is it gonna be to unite us as a human race? And I always thought, I said, you know what? It's gonna be a mothership. A big mothership is gonna come, hover over Manhattan, hover over all the main cities, and give us as humans no other choice than to say, oh shit, there's something out there that's bigger than us that could destroy us in an instant if it wanted to. We need to stop all of this bullshit of racism and countries and hate and division. And I always felt that was going to be the moment that man saw it and was able to see a reason to unite. So, Veronica, I'm just answering the question. Jules was asking if I had a wish one way or the other, what 3i Atlas was. And I'm just likening it to, a vision that I had when I was younger. What's it going to take? What's it going to take? I think that changed when I started to learn about spiritualism and I started to experience meditation and the non-physical aspects of life that I could connect to and relate to. But maybe it is that, maybe it's going to take that for mankind to just drop all of the bullshit.
Unfortunately, humans are born with a brain that doesn't support that as an outcome. The way the brain is actually constructed, it goes through different phases as you develop. Part of my sort of education training. And yes, when you've got kids that are under 7, they will accept anybody and everybody. They don't see difference.
Yeah.
But kids over 7, their brains themselves actually start creating differences and seeing differences.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time they're young teenagers, they're making judgments on the differences and dividing themselves into which group am I? Am I a punk rocker? Am I a hippie? Am I, which group you align yourself with?
Right.
It's a natural part of the brain to do that. And the minute you've got that going on in the human brain, unless you actually make a positive choice about which group you're in, i.e., I'm in the world group, then the minute you start to define yourself as being a specific group, it puts people out. It rejects people. And the minute you reject people, the minute you get conflict, whether it's a small level conflict of just bickering, backbiting, that is conflict. And all that's happening in the world is those human beings with that kind of nature of conflict are doing it on a big scale.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let me ask you.
The only way you change the world is to change each and every individual.
I agree. But let me ask you questions, because you said some things there that I found interesting. So I kind of agree that as a child, you come into this world in this pure state, and you don't have this judgment, and that at a later age, it starts to show. But you said it's a natural thing in the human brain. Do you think that
It's actually the wiring of the brain. There's this guy that wrote a book, The Grain of the Brain, and he did a lot of research over many years about looking at different cultures, and
Mhm.
it's across the world, from very basic cultures that don't have technology and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That it's how the brain develops, and different cultures do manage it differently.
Mhm.
And he found that cultures that are put in a lot of support and people at early ages have different outcomes than those that put a lot of support in at the older ages, because the brain is actually self-learning at the older ages, and it
Mhm.
doesn't need it. The brain, it needs to self-learn. But our education system is totally around the wrong way, that you have one person like with 30, 40 little ones, and one person with 5 big ones, 6 big ones in study groups. Totally the wrong way around.
Mm. Mm.
And so
Interesting.
it's just the way that the brain organically is structured with that, unfortunately.
Hmm. So interesting, because I feel like, and this is without subscribing to negativity, right? And some of these ideas that I see out there, I feel like there's some sort of intention, again, like I said, you're making me think, Veronica, just to, you know, I mean, so let me ask you, do you subscribe to the idea that everybody has these powers within them? We all have
Yes,
certain metaphysical gifts that we just don't
yes.
know about, we don't tap into.
It's
Okay.
yeah, it's organic, and there are certain suggestions about nodules within the brain that might actually link with um, other dimensions
Mm.
and things like that. So I'm sure quite soon, probably, they will find that the mechanism by which mediumship etc works, because that it will be found that every brain, unless there's obviously some damage at that point,
Right.
is able to do this. It's a matter of training and belief and trust.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so I guess what I was kind of getting at was that, and maybe it's not intentional, maybe it's not a nefarious force, right, that's behind it, but it certainly seems like conditioning, as far as like you said, as we get older. um no, I'm struggling here, because you're saying it's a natural part of the brain, and I feel like we're taught some of these things, right? Like I feel like the schooling system, like you said, the schooling system is backwards, right? And I feel like, I don't believe that human beings were meant to be here to wake up, go to a 9 to 5 job, come home and just do that on a repeating, scale. I believe that we're here to experience this world, and experience joy, and experience pain as well. Um, but not like that, not like that hamster wheel.
Can I flip it for you?
Yes, please.
You're talking as though you're a human being having a spiritual experience. My belief is you are a spiritual being having a human experience.
Okay.
And therefore, the journey that you have in human form this time round, or any time round, whatever you want to believe with that, is decided upon before you actually enter this earth.
Okay.
And you choose the kind of experiences that you want to. So it could well be that there's thousands of others, millions of others worlds out there where it's not human, and biologically it's set up different. So you get a totally different experience by incarnating into that being in that location, wherever it is, etc. But for this experience that you're having now in the human nature, it's very much designed to be how you want it to be, but within the physical restraints of a human body and whatever that comes with.
Yeah, okay. I hear that. I hear that. And I mean, I certainly can understand, believing that the spiritual part of me is the bigger part of me. The human part of me is not the bigger part of me. The human part of me is like this much of my existence.
Yeah.
I definitely subscribe to that. And I do feel, and I have been finding, like I said, that I am the creator of my own reality. And my audience will know of an experience that I had over the summer where I was on a retreat with my girlfriend and decided to get married spontaneously in the middle of a Costa Rican jungle. And I mean, literally, the only way I can describe it, especially looking back, is that I jumped timelines. You know what I mean? I created this reality and I jumped from one timeline to another. I was in a timeline where, we were in separate places. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and we had wanted to be together for a long time. And I think mentally we were, but physically we weren't. And that allowed us to just all of a sudden, like when we got back, it was all like that. And
absolutely. What I've said about the human body doesn't mean that it overrides you making conscious choices. It's what happens when you don't make conscious choices and just live an automatum life. That's when human nature just kicks in.
That's, you know what?
The minute you start thinking and the minute you start being able to create, that's when your life changes. That's when awakening happens and your whole universe becomes a different place to be.
Absolutely. And Angelo, I want to bring up something Angelo said. Is it a location or a different timeline? And Jules is saying, I think multiple timelines are going all at the same time. Ooh, this is getting juicy.
But remember, spirit, there's no time in spirit, because spirit doesn't have space. And you can't have time without space. The two are interconnected. It's the space-time continuum. Those are interconnected. So the minute you don't have a physical body, you don't have space, you don't have time either. Right. So it explodes those thoughts about timelines and stuff.
Totally. And literally, like, explodes your brain trying to think about it. And while I agree 100% with what you're saying, 1,000,000% with what you're saying, I think that it's very difficult as human beings that experience things as 3 dimensions to wrap our heads around that, right? What we even we're just talking
again,
about.
That's your human nature side.
Yeah,
it's going to take over. It's going to say, this is my physical experience, and all I can process is my physical experience.
That's right.
But you can process things differently by thinking differently.
I love it. So Angelo's saying, we spoke about this today, and Jules is now saying the past, now, and future are all taking place now. So I just want to bring this up because this is exactly, I love this. I was driving to work this morning, and Angelo texted me and he said, "Hey, you got a minute?" I said, "Call me, I'm driving." And he calls me and we started talking, and he had this epiphany about what it all means. And just really what I think he had an epiphany about was a way to describe it in terms that a human being could understand it. And what he described was, it was a jukebox. And all of the records exist in the jukebox. All of those other pieces of music exist, but you pick the one that you want to listen to, and you listen to that piece of music, and you're in that moment. That's the moment that you're in experiencing. But all those other ones still exist, all at the same time. They're still there, but
absolutely,
you're just not in those moments. You're in the moment that you chose.
That's right, because spirit is the eternal now, where the human has the past, now, and future. But spirit is just the eternal now. And yes, Evelyn, it's the ego trying to be in control all the time, because the ego is the physical side of you.
No, totally. Oh, so how do you do it? Oh man, it is really difficult because I gotta say these thoughts and these conversations and these ideas do give me so much peace, right? When I just say that's just the way it is, and I know that's the way it is, and I just like believe,
Yep.
and it's not even believe, that's not the right word. I just know it, I just feel it, right? But then again, the human side kicks in and is, what did you just say? What are you even thinking? What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Yes, Jules, once you let go of ego, you're so right. Life becomes so much easier because you find that peace state.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep, and much higher, and pray tell secrets. Yes, and I feel like it's not difficult, and it's not a secret, right? I feel like my whole life I struggled with so many things that I look back on now, and I'm just like, why was that even a struggle, right? And but I don't. I never really wished things were different or I had done anything different. I am who I am now because of all of those things, and
Absolutely.
I get to experience things as me now. And I love sometimes looking at old pictures and old videos and just being like, wow, I recognize that person. I remember that moment, but that is just not me. That's another timeline, another version of me. And it's just great to do that. And by the way, when I was speaking to Angelo this morning and he made that confirmation, I looked at the time and it was 11:11 this morning when he said, I had this revelation, and I said, take a note when you have these revelations and when you tell it to someone else and it happens to be 11:11. That's awesome.
Can I just respond to Bernadette? Because
Sure,
she's
sure, sure.
asking if anything that comes through for me, please. It's not to give you anything, Bernadette, in terms of a reading. It's to say that you have every single answer you could possibly want inside yourself. You don't need somebody else to give you a reading if it's about you. If it's about needing evidence of loved ones in spirit, that's mediumship, that's fine. But if it's about what's happening in your life, you're the best person to talk to. You need to think inside yourself, meditate inside yourself, find that spot inside yourself. You can use tarot cards, you can use my awakening cards, you can use anything that you want to help find the prompts for that. But you are much, much better exploring the answers to the queries and problems that you've got in your own life by looking inside yourself, because once you contact your higher self, the answers are there. It knows what your journey's about. Your higher self helped decide what this human life was going to be for you. So the answers are all there within you.
I love that. And I agree with that. I feel like I feel everything that you just said. But on the other hand, right now, there's this human side about me coming about too. But also with you, it makes me curious about you and yourself, because you are a medium. You do give readings to people, right? And you're almost saying like, I give readings, but you don't need a reading.
No, with mediumship, absolutely, because mediumship is people going through grief, needing support and solace, that their loved one still exists on the other side, and etc., etc. So mediumship is a sacred act for me, because it's about relief to another human being that needs reassurance, that needs solace, that is going through the pain of grief. I'll do tarot cards and stuff like that occasionally for people. But we're in a community where people understand what's going on. So, to give, I'm a natural, 20 years ahead teacher, you teach people, don't you? That's what I do. You can do this yourself. You don't need somebody else to do it. You're not sure how to harness your gifts and you don't get spirits. Bernadette, you just need to go get yourself a proper teacher and go into training, pay some, go on courses.
Something interesting I was going to say about mediumship too, as well, because my wife is a medium, and that is that sometimes these spirits come to you with a message that needs to be given, right? It's not even like somebody necessarily is asking for a message, right? Like you're getting a message.
I've never allowed them to do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, they're not interfering with my life. I'll open to them when I'm ready.
Interesting.
They know the rules.
So there's very intentional moments.
Yes, I did my training with a lady that was very strict with her mediumship, very much, grounded in the Spiritualist National Union and their way of working. So the first thing you did was learn the rules, and mediumship isn't for sort of walking down the aisle in the supermarket. It is a sacred act of communion between spirit, through spirit to spirit.
Interesting, because I've been in the room with my wife where, I mean, we are having these conversations and stuff, and she'll feel a message come through, and she'll be, she's not like the Long Island medium. I don't know if you've seen the Long Island medium.
Yeah.
She won't walk up to people and say, "Oh, I've got a message for you," but she'll usually try to say like, "Hey, are you comfortable, with this?" And she'll receive messages in that way. And then often also she found out, or she does it also Reiki. She's a Reiki master, and that often leads to messages, just kind of getting people into that state, will lead to messages.
Everybody's different.
Yeah,
everybody's different.
For sure, everybody's different. And Jules is saying Teresa Caputo, that's the Long Island medium. And this is a good question. Evelyn says, I see so many people on your shows asking the same question, even though they've asked it before, and we do have the answers within. It's nice for every now and then for validation, I guess, to ask someone, who you feel like is connected, to say, hey, what are you getting for me? And that's why Bernadette might have said, hey, what do you get from me? But again, was so eloquently receiving your answer, which was like, you're equipped, you have it all yourself. And I feel like that was an answer. That was an energetic answer that you gave, right? You were kind of guided to tell Bernadette that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same with, with Evelyn, she says you can get the same answer. You pull a card for yourself. I'd like to see someone offer a kind of class. It's a standard thing that's taught in psychic work. I suppose it's different training, different places, but certainly with the Spiritualist National Union and most mediums in the UK that have developed through that system, that when you first develop your mediumship, they will teach you the psychic side first, and that is exactly that. You're just linking in with you. Its terminology is different between the US and the UK, because in the US you say psychic medium, don't you? Where in the UK, psychic is very much about you as a person linking to another person.
Right. And the mediumship is the spiritual.
Where mediumship is linking to those loved ones. Yeah. So it's very different, but you would always start the teaching with the psychic, and you develop the psychic skills first, and then move through. So that's
I do have to make that clarification often to people to understand what is a psychic, what is a medium, because people say psychic medium, which sometimes they come together, and there's our similarities, I guess you would say. They're both energetic, right? They're both talking and getting messages through energy. So to me, that's really what got me into this whole community, was just kind of seeing the similarity of how everything resonated to me, was the same thing, people who were channeling spirits, and people who were reading spirits, and people who were reading cards, they were just different ways of connecting with energy. Like you said, everybody's different.
Interesting, the one element of energy work that is often forgotten about, but is such a key one, is healing. Because when you do healing, spiritual healing, you are working with the energies. And before I became a medium, before I trained to be a medium, it was standard practice at that time, and we are going back 40 years, to actually become a healer first. That was your course. You became a healer first, because actually you learned how to link with spirit energy and the energy coming through you and out, and you learned to feel the energy. And so it's
a very
forgotten about a lot these days.
Yeah, and it's a very, like, I feel like you really need to understand yourself, right? And your own relationship with energy, and how you sense energy, and how you receive energy, and how you emanate energy, and what your own essence is, even, like,
Absolutely.
I mean, understanding that, I think, is the key to even trying to work with these things. And so let me ask you a question. How, I know you have a community of mediums, and I'm imagining that you know the mediums, right? In other words, I guess the reason I'm asking this is because mediumship has become so widely, what's the right word I'm looking for? It's just spread very wide, and kind of thin in some places, I guess you could say, right? There's like not a lot of authenticity all the time. And I mean, how do you discern?
Everybody's on their own path.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for me to judge other people.
I love that answer, Veronica. I love that answer. It's and again, I think that those kinds of answers make you look at yourself, right? You're making me really look at myself. Why would I even ask that question? Why do I feel like there's a lot of that, charlatans or whatever out there? Like, it's really the idea of the world and the reflections and all of that stuff. It really makes you think. I really appreciate talking to you.
It's like that mirror of Erised in Harry Potter. If you're a Harry Potter fan, that you see what you most desire in the world, but actually you see a reflection of yourself. It's all the shadow work, which again, in the chat, I'm seeing a lot about fear and mental health issues and things like that. One of the key things that I'm working with Spirit on at the moment is a new book called Mediumship Out of the Shadows, because I'd written earlier in the year that my Universal Spirit Awakening book, and it talks about how the historical aspects of awakening and things like that, but throw a bit of science in there as well. But it's about how we open ourselves up to spirit, and awareness of our own spirit and awareness of God's, etc. But part of that is about our own personal development, and similar to the healing, our own personal development and our own shadow work about addressing the things that affect us in our human life is vital. Absolutely vital for mediumship. So that's where this new book's going to come in, because it's been able to show people that actually by addressing your shadows and working with the issues within the shadows, mediumship becomes dead easy, because all the barriers to mediumship are us.
Yep.
Is this thing up here thinking?
All the barriers to a lot of things are up here, right?
Yeah.
But also all of the keys to get past those barriers are
yeah.
And it's really important stuff that you're talking about. It's really wonderful. I was going to ask you, what would you recommend to somebody who's kind of trying to figure it out, trying to maybe they had an experience, maybe they didn't, maybe they're just curious, but it sounds like findamedium.com or your website or your book are great
Buy my
places
book.
to start. Yeah, the book.
Buy my book. There's lots of
Universal Spirit
exercises
Awakening.
in it. Jules, you've asked how the steps to get there. There's lots of exercises at the end of each chapter about journaling, about meditation, things that it's available now. Oh, the new one, the Mediumship Out of the Shadows. When I finish writing it, I came to a stop recently, and I was traveling the other day, a long journey, well, long for me, 4-hour journey, and I was listening to a book about the fear of death and the psychology around the fear of death, because it's something that a lot of people just don't talk about, and they're absolutely paranoid around death and dying. And listening to this, thinking, that is so much part of the shadow work and what I need to include within the book. So that's obviously why I'd been stopped from writing anymore, because I needed to listen to that and be able to incorporate that into the book. So when I get to my next writing session and I've finished listening to the book, then I'll do the rest of the writing.
That's great. So the book is going to be full of fresh information that is just hot off the presses, so to speak. That's amazing. That's amazing. And you're such a pleasure to talk to. And I think, again, for me, my journey has just been one of realizing, like, life isn't a struggle, unless you want it to be. You know what I mean? So I think that life has just been putting me in these situations of having these amazing conversations, learning some things, being shown reflection of myself, and being able to recognize that that's what I'm being shown, you know what I mean? Those kinds of things. It's just amazing. So thank you so much for staying up late and coming on the show and sharing your.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Can I just say about my school community as well?
Oh, we totally forgot to talk about that. Listen, we don't have a hard stop, and we're done when we're done. So let's talk about your school community. So school is such a great new thing. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah, well, the school is spelled SKOOL, and it's a new well, I don't know how new it is, but it's a new platform to me, and it's enabled me to get all sorts of stuff on there, because it holds videos, everything's set up in classrooms, so that always feels familiar to me. So you've got a classroom for each area of work. So I've got and you've also got discussion groups as well. So I've got a discussion group about practice mediumship. So under there's things like spirit art, and there's a calendar. So all my online live psychic readings events are all on the calendar, so people can see what's coming up. And there's just, the more you interact with this community, and the same with every school community, the more points you build up, the more points actually release different aspects. So I've got some tarot workshops that if you get to, I think it's level 2, you can access the tarot workshops. And if you get to level 3, there's other stuff that you can access on there. And, I'll going to be putting in other stuff. You can also have a premium membership or a VIP one, and again, those costs each month, but you get things like, if the premium one, you get my book as well as my daily lists that I mentioned earlier, and that's $9 sorry, a month. So there's a lot on there. Go and have a look.
I just found it, and there's the link at the bottom of the page right now. If you guys are interested in school is actually a really great place for communities.
That's not the link. Sorry.
I just looked you up.
Yeah, I think that's the personal one. It's to go to the spiritual awakening hub.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what it says.
All right.
On.
Okay. I don't recognize that link at all. I'll have to have a look at that.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me just put this link in and see if this is the right one. Join group. School.com, the Spiritual Awakening Hub 5029. Maybe
That's it.
Okay, so let me just change that so people, that might have been your personal profile that they would
Yeah.
get right there.
And
Which
they won't
on
get
that
anything.
page is a link to this one. So
All right.
yeah. So
I
right
didn't
when
even know that one about me. So
yeah,
that's
it's like your personal profile. They get to see a
right.
picture of
Okay.
you. Yeah, and
As I say, I'm still new to it.
yeah, no, it is a great. You know what? I just recently joined. I had a guest on one of my other show, the live stream of consciousness. His name's Tyler Engels, and he studies ancient art, like ancient archaeology, and like the way the pyramids are built, and cymatics,
Yeah.
and how they all relate to it. Was just, he's so amazing, and he's got this just ancient wisdom thing going. So I've been checking his stuff out lately too. So it is amazing to like I said, find a community of people who are interested in what you're interested in, because you really get good information that way. I mean, you can kind of Google stuff and try to figure it out, but when you have people who have experience you can talk to, which is why we do this show, so people can kind of get a taste for who you are and what you sound like, what you feel like, what you taste like, so again, I really appreciate you sharing your time and your energy and excitement about all of the good things in this world.
Yeah. Love it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Awesome. I don't know exactly what I'm doing as far as next week goes, as far as Thursday goes for the live stream of consciousness. Like I said, I was sick last week, so I'm just getting back on my feet, but do know that I am here. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, please do. We're all in this together, right? And if you feel like you're struggling, there are people who can help. So always reach out to your friend, always look for a hug, and I will see you guys next week on Holding Space. Peace.